You are now listening to Straight Talk with Post-Grad Recruits. Here is Troy University sideline reporter Junior Lasaint, Valdosia's Daily Time columnist and owner of the Recruit Database, Zane Rowland, owner and creator of Post-Grad Recruits, Chris Blanton, and your host, Mr. Just Kev himself, Kevin Robinson.
We talk about it so much, and we question the validity of it. And I start to think about the medications and the prescriptions and things of that nature. How often is that coming into play, on these lower levels, with the younger kids? And I ask specifically because we get a lot of kids these days looking up to, their favorite athletes. And now we're in a world where social media is so prevalent, you can see everything that somebody's doing. So if my favorite baseball player is taking this drug or he's getting prescribed this, and hey, he's hitting home runs, I want to be able to do that too. So now I'm going to do whatever I need to do and, go talk to a doctor, whoever it may be. I have this mental health issue, so I can get this prescription. And now I can be, like my favorite baseball player. So if you can, do you deal with anything like that or even hear anything? Just speak on it really quickly if you have any thoughts on something like that.
Yeah, I think that I think we are a society of quick fixes, and a lot of times, anytime someone has anything wrong with them, their first go-to is a medication. They don't want to sit and talk to somebody and deal with what's really going on. They want a medication. On our podcast, we did an episode, and it's been a while, but we talked about how people would rather live a life where they're miserable and take medication so they just don't feel that they're miserable than do something to change their life. Let's make some different decisions. It may be really difficult, but let's find a new job or a new career or a new place to live or something. It may be tough, but instead, people would rather take medication to not feel the depression and live miserably than make a change. So I think that people go to medication very quickly sometimes. There are certainly times when it's needed, but most of the time it's not. But we're looking for that quick fix, something easy to do so that, we don't have to do any work.
Kev said the athlete, the student athlete wanting that drug, when sometimes it's the parent that's pushing that drug onto the student athlete.
Absolutely.
Talk about it.
I mean, I've seen that before, where a parent wants their child to get bigger, faster, stronger, but they're not doing it quick enough. So they heard about this drug, it might not be, you're in high school, they're not testing you. We could take it for now and you get off of it later. Not thinking about the repercussions and the effect it might play on them while they're in high school, because we're talking about mental health now. That drug can, amplify whatever is going on with that student athlete already.
Yeah, I think a great example to that is, when you think about wrestlers or gymnasts and stuff who have to keep where weight is a really important factor. Medications like Adderall and Ritalin and things like that will suppress your appetite. It's for ADHD, but it will suppress your appetite. And so we see a lot of students, taking those kinds of medications, one, to suppress their appetite, and two, oftentimes to increase their focus when they take a test or something. But not really recognizing that, if you are a person maybe with a little bit of anxiety, you don't have ADHD, but you have a little bit of anxiety, that medication is going to jack your anxiety up significantly. And so it can cause other problems. Sure, you may be able to keep your weight down, but what are the other consequences to that?
Right. Now, Cortez, I got to put you on the spot because you deal with a lot of youth. You deal with youth on the daily, that's how you make your bread and butter. Do you see some of the things that we're talking about?
Yeah, all the time. Majority of the time, especially those kids that parents are looking for their kids to be like just off the charts and things like that. I have a couple of kids now that dads are kind of on them tough, and sometimes they just want to be a kid and just, play around here and there. But I can see that the parents are really tough on those kids, and I kind of have to tell them that they're okay in a sense. They have time to become what they're looking to become later on by playing sports in a sense. But you could tell them that all day, but at the end of the day, they're their parents, so they gonna feel that they know what's best. But at the same time, I kind of just try to put a bug in their ear in a sense to kind of like they're okay, they cool. You ain't got to be really on them so hard and things like that. But I do see a lot of those type of things as well.
So like with you, so you're training them, you know, and you don't want to like detour them. You want them to keep coming training. How do you deal with the kid when you're training that kid? You know they're getting a lot of pressure, because we've talked about this, and you know that kid getting all this pressure, you know, but you still have a job to do. How do you approach that kid?
So I typically kind of approach the kid on my own, and kind of while I'm training them, I kind of just talk to them and just ask them like how they doing, and kind of like, you know, how you feeling and things like that. And then I also tell them, man, at the end of the day, man, you need to if you feel like you need a break, tell them, like talk to your parents and tell them that I need a break, I need a rest. I had one kid, he was a running back. He also played baseball. He was training, he was doing baseball training, and he was doing football training with me on the same day. And he also had football and baseball, all that type of stuff. And during this time, he was going through one of his football coach had died of a heart attack, and I could tell that was weighing on him. But I kind of typically like I said, I kind of like just talk to him while we're training, just kind of ask them like, man, how you doing? How you feeling? And they kind of open up to me, because in a sense, I know the parents are not really coming at them that way. You know what I'm saying? And it's somebody else that's coming at them, showing that they care about their well-being as well. So he got to open up, talk to me in a sense. But like I tell them though, man, I say at the end of the day, man, you need a rest. At the end of the day, if you need a rest, tell your parents that you need a rest. At the end of the day, they're going to have to listen, or it's going to be too late in the sense of you doing something that they don't want you doing. So I kind of talk to them and kind of just hopefully I'm just dropping gems at the end of the day, just dropping little bugs in their ear to just get them like, okay, Coach Stubbs, he's saying this. I'm tired, because I know them kids be tired, but that's what I kind of typically do, is just go that route. I really don't even talk to the parents sometimes, because they're not going to understand if they wasn't an athlete. Since I'm an athlete and I kind of understand what, you know, and seeing some of my fellow friends and things like that, I kind of talk to them. And then with the parents, it's really up to the kid to kind of go to their parents to kind of help and kind of let them realize that they're doing too much. But
man,
so that's how the way I approach it.
Coach, we all have those kids that we coach. Like they do football practice, baseball, basketball, all on the same day. Their parents just dragging them down. But like we've been talking about, it's the people that is coaching us through our life. They start at the age of 5, and most of those people are non-athletic people, and they get into the arena and they're trying to force their child to be something that they never were, or they trying to force their child to be something to be a trophy to them where they can brag to their friends about. And that's a one-way street to I'm not gonna do this for long. Because as soon as I turn 18 and I don't depend on you anymore, I'm dropping this full sport and I'm getting away from the game because you made me hate it so much.
Not even getting away from the game, but getting away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say that, because like I said earlier, you know, they've been in it so long, they don't know how to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to stop doing it. You know, and Dr. Burn, I wanted to lead into that with that, you know, with an athlete who finally does stop doing it, you know, and starts suffering from depression, you know, how do you know, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think that, I think what Cortez was saying just a minute ago too, that last little thing you said was so important, but we jumped past it because they leave their parents. You know, these kids, sometimes when they get to that position and they leave the sport, you know, if they finally can take that step and, you know, stand up for themselves and they do get away from it, they tend to get away from their family too. And now they're alone.
Right.
So not only do they not have the sport or the team family that they've always had, because they've left that, they don't have their other family, their real, you know, biological family either. And so they're alone. And that's a really, I hate to use the word dangerous, but that's a really scary place for them to be, because now, you know, when you feel isolated, when you feel alone, those are the things that really, you know, significantly increase like depression and anxiety and some of those kinds of things, because now you're, you know, that isolation that you feel is horrible, and you don't really have any anybody there to help pull you out of it, or to give you some guidance on where else to go. So, you know, that those are really difficult circumstances to help a player out of, or help a kid or a person out of, because, you know, it's really difficult for them to see anything ahead of them. You know, all that was ahead of them before is gone now, and now they don't see anything. And so you really have to like start from the beginning and start, you know, from the bottom, and just kind of build them up and help them find something else that they can kind of hold on to. And, you know, kind of getting back to that identity thing, you know, okay, so you're not that anymore. So now what are you? Who are you? And how do we foster that? But it's really difficult.
I mean, I've read some things that on how, you know, depression is very big in athletes. You know, like Kevin said earlier, like how you differentiate from what's real and what's not real. And then you've been doing this sport and you think you have all these friends and you have all this, you know, everybody putting you on this pedestal, then that ends and those things start to dwindle away. And those, you know, you thought you were that guy, you thought you had the friends, you thought you had the great personality, and then you come to find out you don't really have anything anymore. You know, there's nothing. And, you know, it's so many athletes deal with this, you know, when they get older and are done with the sport. Athletes who still love the sport and had to quit or whatever the case might be, may have gotten injured. You know, what do you say to those people? You know, because all of us on here have been athletes and still are athletes, you know, in heart and try to be physically when we
That's
can.
about it. Only in heart. That's
you know,
about it.
but you know, and we've all said, if I do anything to play the game one more time. You know, we've all said that. I'll play the game one more time. And, you know, it's like, are we crazy for thinking that? Or, you know, what is that all about, you know?
No, I think I see that as, you know, that's a true love of the game, right? That's where it was. You were doing it because you enjoy doing it. And that's why you would just love to do it one more time. And you just want to get back out there. But I think in working with that the person who kind of pulls out of it or leaves the sport, or, you know, they've just can't deal with the pressure, you know, it's, I think that I imagine it as sort of they have this big hole, you know, the sport filled this hole from so much of their life. And now there's a hole there. We have to find something to go in it. You know, this is why a lot of people fill that hole with substance abuse. They fill it with alcohol or narcotics or something, or they fill it with gambling or some other something else that sort of gives them that same, like you said, we're all athletes. We've all played the sports before. That feeling that you get when you're walking out on the field, of that excitement, that rush of dopamine that goes through your body. Again, that hole is there. They don't feel that with anything else. And so they're looking for it with anything. And substance abuse, you know, they look for it with substance abuse. They look for it with gambling. They look for it with very risky, dangerous behaviors, because it gives them that same flood of dopamine that they're looking for. And then you get into these really dangerous, scary situations that these guys find themselves in. And, you know, so we have to work hard to kind of coach them and pull them away from those types of behaviors so that they can find something healthy to fill that space. That gives them the same positive feelings, that same excitement, that same energy, but is safe for them. That's not going to pull them down and cause them more damage.
See, and I think this part of the topic is very relevant to a lot of people we all know. Even for myself, I've been there, you know, in that situation, you know, because I've been on this high forever, and then, you know, get to this point where it's like, what am I doing? What do I do? I don't know what to do. And it's like just searching for a way to feel it, you know, and just always needing to be busy just to try to feel that. Right. You know, Kevin, you had something?
Yeah. So when we talk about the athlete, you know, especially who's having a hard time at home, or they've left their parents, they don't have that relationship there. And some may not even have the camaraderie from the teammates. They may not have that relationship with the coach. And I just see somebody being, really, really alone, really, really isolated. What kind of resources are out there, for people like that? Are there websites that you can tell us about, hotlines, things of that nature, where they may be able to feel like, I can at least call this or go to this website? I know we have like suicide prevention, things of that nature, but do you know of any other resources, and there may be somebody who sees this and it helps them right away. So that's my question. What kind of resources might be out there for somebody who feels, hey, I'm totally alone. I don't have a game. I don't have my family. I don't have a coach. I don't have anybody. What can I do?
Yeah. I don't, the types of resources are going to vary, of course, in different places. I don't know of any hotlines or anything like that, but there's always, I guess one of the positive things that came out of all this COVID is, teletherapy and
Yeah.
virtual mental health sessions and stuff like that. So it's really easy now to get connected with a mental health person that can help you work through some of those things. And, that to me would always be the first step. I think that another thing, I had there was a young girl that I worked with. I coached her team in soccer. She was little, and she's in middle school now. But her last season playing, it was sort of a very, it was an accident, but they found that she had hurt her knee in a match or something. And they went and they were trying to figure out what happened. And they ended up finding out that she had cancer in her knee, like this really, really terrible bone cancer. And so she went through all this, chemotherapy and surgeries and all that kind of stuff. And they basically said, she's not going to play again. But she loved soccer. And so, my goal with her was to work her through to help her be a coach, So as some of these youth get older, if they pull out of the sport, but they still looking for some of that, I coach them into coaching, come do this and teach other kids what and you can help them avoid the things that kind of pulled you down and make it more difficult for you. While at the same time teaching them the things that can make them a strong player and, a strong teammate, but giving them a purpose that way so that they can still sort of be in the sport or in athletics, but not have that same pressure and stuff that kind of pulled them out of it to begin with.
Right. Yeah, like I see Freeman, you was pointing at yourself.
Early, we were talking about the whole trying to find your identity outside of athletics, because I drilled myself around it. But I don't want to stray too far away from what you guys are talking about now. And I just want to add, a little something in there. A lot of us, as coaches, in this time frame, we have evolved where we're more checking on our players and athletes and making sure, we go out and do life with them outside of the sports. We talked about this last week also, where compared to the past, where our coaches, there was always hard and tough, like no outside of, activity. It was all, inside those 8 hours you were in school, and then, the 3 hours you did practice. Outside of that, it wasn't really that big of a relationship. But I had this one coach come in my life, and actually it changed my life, who built the character of man inside of me that, deposited some great things. This coach right here, he showed me what, everything that I do now as far as coaching, like bringing kids to my house and making sure they have a place of peace, or, making sure they know who they are outside of this football realm. Because at some point, the ball is going to stop rolling. Some point, it's going to stop bouncing. So then, instead of doing like I was doing, where I'm drop down from the NFL to, Canadian League to the arena football, indoor football to semi-pro, you don't have to drop down all those levels. Other things that they can do. That's why I'm constantly involved in their lives, trying to make sure they know life outside of football. This is only momentarily. And I let them straight out know, like, football, your contract, when you look at it, you only gonna get about 65% of that after taxes. And that tax bracket is different. It's not catered towards the athlete. And I tell them all the time, you can make more money going into the medical field. You can make more money going to different type of fields and starting your own business than you would actually playing the NFL or dropping down and playing in the CFL or going over to Germany like I did, or God.
No, Dr. Bird, isn't it crazy? Like, we think about it. These sports are meant to be fun. They start off fun, and they become, something that's supposed to be fun becomes so stressful, to people, and gets a hold of people so much that when they're done, they're searching for something,
Right.
it's just baffling to me.
Yeah. And it's funny because like you were talking about with you can make more money in the medical field and some of these other things than if all you're doing it for is the money. I tell kids all the time, the one of the wealthiest people I've ever met, he sold dirt.
Yeah, you told me about that.
This guy was like a multi-millionaire and he just sold dirt from he owned some property and he sold dirt, but he had all these millions of dollars, and he's this old country boy, and he graduated high school, I guess, but that was about it. So there are lots of ways to make a lot of money. You just have to work, but so these aren't the only avenues out. There are other avenues, especially if you're not in it for for the reasons that you really should be in it. A person shouldn't become a physician just to make money, because that's never a good physician. That's not a doctor I'd want to go to. So you got to be in it for the right reasons.
Right.
Well, Doc, I want to hit you with probably the hardest question you'll get throughout this podcast. I'm noticing your background, so I'm definitely a Star Wars fan. Over this past couple of years, you've had The Mandalorian come out on Disney Plus. You've had Boba Fett. Have you watched both of them? First part of the question.
Yes.
Second part, which one was your favorite?
I have watched both of them, and I'm very excited because I heard that the official trailer for the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show just came out, and I haven't watched it yet. I thought that season 1 of The Mandalorian was fantastic. Season 2 was good, just especially with all the cameos.
Right.
But yeah, so I would go, probably my favorite would probably be the season 1 of The Mandalorian.
All right, cool. Well, Doc, you all right with me. You all right with me. Gotcha. We try to lighten it up towards the end, man, and kind of open up the discussions. But definitely a great conversation here tonight. Dr. Burney, we appreciate everything that you were able to bring in, having all the guys here and just giving those individual points of view and perspectives. That's what we aim to do. We don't want to just talk about football and beat a dead horse. We want to give a lot of different points of views and a lot of perspective, because there's a lot of young athletes who need exactly what we're trying to give. And I always want to tip my hat to Chris, everything that he started, and bringing me along and let me be a part of it, man. I appreciate all of it. I think you have an amazing platform that you're building, not only for yourself, but all of post-grad. Shout out to you and being recognized as an official, NCAA approved recruiting service as well. So thank you. I think we do a great job of touching a lot of different topics. So enjoyed everything tonight, man. So at this point, just any closing comments or last words from everybody? We'll just go around real quick.
I want to thank you guys for, blessing me to be on this stage with you guys. These topics right here, I have my players go and listen to the topics that we talk about and make sure, they understand the mental health behind this whole game that we're playing, and let them know that, if your heart is not in it for the love of the game, you don't need to be a part of the game. But because too often people, see the monetized system that we have in NFL, the big show, and how people are paid. And that's the only reason why they want to play this sport. And if you want to do it for that reason, I can't knock you for why you want to do it, but life is bigger because it's only a small percentage. We talked about the percentage last week of people who making it to those being professional athletes. Football, and I know in the NFL is a 53-man roster. NBA, I know now that it's a 15-man roster. So all sports have different. If you compare that with all the kids that are out there playing right now, everybody can't go. Just the top one fraction of that 1%. So,
Right.
Yeah. Well, I had that conversation with kids a lot because, it's they have these ideas of going real far, and you can tell those student athletes who really have it, and those who they're good players, but they may go to college and stuff like that, but they're not going to go professional, and in the world of soccer, there was a 15-year-old that started for like Manchester United a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, he's 15. You guys are 16, and you're struggling to beat the Tampa team. I don't think we're going to go to Manchester United, but they have these thoughts. It's like, let's think about things, the world outside of soccer, just a little bit, because you might be able to get this far with it, but we need to have some of your eggs in other baskets too, not just that one. So you're so right.
Man, I wanted to, it's so much you could talk about with this. We bounced around tonight, but I'm sure there's a lot of people, who will be watching and listening to this, and they probably have some questions, might learn something, might figure some things out, might find out they're not alone, because, especially for, like I said, believe it or not, the athletes that, have gone through it and played college, played, professionally, a lot of them deal with things the worst with leaving the game, because that was in that hole that we spoke about, and then it's trying to find something to fill that hole, and that gets tough. You try to keep busy and do different things, and that's a topic in itself. just talking about that, so we bounced around tonight to try to touch on a little bit of everything for everybody, but I definitely like to hit on that in the future, just for those who finish with the game, in their adulthood, trying to figure this thing out.
Absolutely.
Definitely needed. Dr. Wilkinson, where can people go and find your content? I know you post your videos to YouTube. Do you have any other social media? Where can people find you?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. At my other podcast, my regular podcast is called The Mental Breakdown. We just try to break down mental health issues and break them down to people so people can understand it. And so we have our website, thementalbreakdown.com, where we have different content, all of our podcasts. We've done probably over 800 or so now. We've been doing it for a number of years. And so there's all kinds of content there if people want to check us out, and you can reach out to us there. The Mental Breakdown's on Facebook, and
hopefully we added something new to your content.
That's right. No, this is fantastic, because we've tried to have some of these conversations. We had a guy on from, I think he was from Ireland a number of years ago, and we talked about some of these same things. He was a Australian football player. I think it was Australian football that he played. Sort of like rugby, I guess.
Right.
He was fun and exciting to talk to. So this is definitely something that we need to talk more about. So I really appreciate you guys inviting me on.
Tell them how they can contact you, Cortez.
Yeah, man, shameless plug. Let's get it.
Thank you. You can contact me on at DB Master Academy, IG, DB Master Academy on Facebook, One Stop Elite Sports Performance, and Cortez Stubbs on Facebook as well.
Nice.
Appreciate
nice,
y'all.
man.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed, man. Anybody who's naming that stuff DB Master, y'all go get with him, man. That's not, he didn't say, regular DB training, DB working, DB Master. So go get with Cortez, master your craft, do what you need to do, man. But all good, man. I appreciate you guys. It's been fun. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.
All right, fellas.
Yeah.
All right.
What's up, world? This is Kevin, aka Just Kev, with Straight Talk with Post Grad Recruits Podcast. Just wanted to reach out with a small advisory. Please be advised, Straight Talk with Postgrad Recruits allows all people the opportunity to speak freely without judgment or bias. Listeners are encouraged to research the statements, comments, and viewpoints shared by guests or cast of the podcast as needed. Much love.